Hello and welcome to another episode of Let's Decode. ఈ రోజు మనతో ఉన్నారు శ్రీని బుర్రా గారు, who is the global head of performance management at Nestle. So Nestle Global Center, which is in Switzerland. Srini garu works there in Nestle, and more than anything, he is a very dear family friend of ours. So that's where I've had the privilege of actually staying put at their place when I was in Switzerland also. So, uncle, I would say uncle, thank you so much for obliging. Though you had very little time here in India right now, thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you, Pinky. I must say it's a privilege to be associated with the line. నువ్వు ఎప్పుడు స్టార్ట్ చేసావు అప్పటి నుంచి డే ఫార్మేషన్ నుంచి యూ బీన్ షేరింగ్ ఆల్ ది గుడ్ వర్క్ దట్ యూ హ్యావ్ బీన్ డూయింగ్ అండ్ it's as I said, a privilege to be part of this show, and I hope I will be able to share my thoughts and experience of my 38 years, near 38 years of my life with Nestle, where I worked in many countries, and now in Switzerland lo untuna. So most important thing is to share experiences so that the future generation are able to learn out of some of my failures. Success అందరి దగ్గర ఉంటుంది, but most important, people who are able to stand up and say, these are some of my failures and these are things of watch out. I hope that my future, the generation, I will be of some use to that. Having said, Pinky, నేను నీకు తెలుసు, next year I will be retiring after almost 38 years with the company. And I will be starting a new chapter in life.
Yeah.
And that new chapter in life entante, as I said, a third of my time I would like to dedicate to the future of youngsters.
Yeah.
In mentoring them, in grooming them, explaining what not to do, and also sharing and storytelling some of the successes that I've had.
Yeah. In fact, I was very keen that we should do this because students ane kaadu, being in the role that you've been, and at that level, you must be seeing a lot of leaders in the making, and who are leaders, and who are not so good leaders also. And ee rojna meeru, in fact, indaka when we were talking also, I was asking you, you've seen the boom which is happening in India, especially in Hyderabad. ఇప్పుడు ఇంతలా పెరుగుతున్నప్పుడు వీ సీ అ లాట్ ఆఫ్ ఆంటర్ప్రినర్స్ కమింగ్ అప్ ఆల్సో. ఇన్ఫ్యాక్ట్ లెట్స్ డీకోడ్లో కూడా ఐఎమ్ యాక్చువల్లీ ఇన్వైటింగ్ అ లాట్ ఆఫ్ ఆంటర్ప్రినర్స్. సో అన్ ఆంటర్ప్రినర్ జర్నీ విచ్ హ్యాస్ సో మెనీ హైస్ అండ్ లోస్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్, సీయింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ యోర్ పర్స్పెక్టివ్, ఎందుకంటే ఒక ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఉన్నాక వచ్చి ఏదో చెయ్యాలి అని చెప్పి మొదలు పెడతాం. వాట్ ఈస్ ఇట్ దట్ ఈస్ యాక్చువల్లీ మేకింగ్ అ గుడ్ లీడర్ ఆర్ అ గుడ్ ఆంటర్ప్రినర్, అండ్ వాట్ ఈస్ ఇట్ ఇన్ యోర్ పర్స్పెక్టివ్ యూ థింక్ is somewhere people feel that okay fine I can do, but ekkado midway they drop?
It's a very good question and a thought-provoking question, Amma. I'll give you a perspective of my own life. As I said, 38 ఏళ్ల కిందట నేను ఈ కంపెనీ మేనేజ్మెంట్ స్కూల్ నుంచి జాయిన్ అయ్యాక, I must say that a lot of people grow in an organization, a lot of people have successes in life, and a lot of people have a bit of a struggle in life as well. నాకున్న దాంట్లో నేను చెప్పవలసింది ఏంటంటే, ఐ హ్యావ్ బీన్ వెరీ ఫార్చునేట్ అండ్ లక్కీ. వై ఐ హ్యావ్ బీన్ లక్కీ అండ్ ఫార్చునేట్ అంటే, ద డే వన్ when I joined this company, like when you go to university or you go into a management school, or you get into an organization, whether it is your own family or oriented organization, or you join any other company, there will be certain grooming that is done.
Right.
Kada? A grooming చేసినప్పుడు, it's the formative age లో grooming చేసినప్పుడు, you need to have some good mentors.
Yeah.
నాకు, I was very fortunate to get into the fold of a great leader. And I'll tell you the experience. And he, the first day I joined, and I'm not going to single out this gentleman. ఈ 38 ఏళ్లలో, again I've said,
I'm sure there'll be many people.
Exactly.
Yeah, many. అంటే పీపుల్ ఒకటే కాదు, ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ సిచ్యువేషన్స్, ఇన్ టర్మ్స్
Exactly.
ఆఫ్ వాట్ యువర్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్సెస్ దెమ్సెల్వ్స్
Yeah.
ఉండే ఉంటాయి కదా.
So I have, again, as I said, I've been extremely fortunate and lucky that I've been assigned to good leaders and not pure good managers. I always differentiate ఎందుకంటే నాకు I also do a lot of lecturing and I represent Nestle worldwide at London School of Business, at the Consumer Goods Forum, at IMDs, at Gartner symposiums and so on and so forth. And this small storytelling is something which I am proud to share about how lucky I was to be under a good tutelage of very selective leaders who have changed my life. And today, if I have been successful in the last 38 years, it's because of them. నాకు 3-4 ground rules చెప్పారమ్మా. The first thing what they said is you have to have a good vision.
Yeah.
Not an abstract vision, a vision that you can be able to dissect into multiple forms.
Which is more structured.
Which is more structured. You need to create some bubbles of ambitions, and you need to work back and to make sure that you have a game plan towards those ambitions.
Right.
ఇందాక నీకు చెప్పినప్పుడు మనం చిన్నప్పుడు చదువుకుంటున్నప్పుడు ఇన్ ద ఫార్మేటివ్ ఇయర్స్ ఆఫ్ 8, 9, 10 years మనకి ఇంట్లో ఫ్యామిలీ సర్కమ్స్టాన్సెస్ అయితేనేంటి, ఇంట్లో పియర్ గ్రూప్ అయితేనేంటి, అంటే కజిన్స్ వీళ్ళందరూ, గ్రాండ్ పేరెంట్స్ అయితేనేంటి, ఎవ్రీబడి గివ్స్ యూ అ సర్టన్ పర్స్పెక్టివ్. And I looked at the perspective, a word in that when I was going through the stairs. It caught the wall.
Perspective wall that we
the
have.
perspective wall. It caught my attention.
Yeah.
You could have a manager's perspective, and I'll come back to that, or a leadership perspective. And I'll talk about how lucky I was. సో ఆ ఫార్మేటివ్ ఇయర్స్లో వాళ్ళు ఏం చెప్తారంటే, ఒరే నువ్వు డాక్టర్ అయితే బాగుంటుంది ఎందుకంటే మన ఫ్యామిలీలో ఎవరికే డాక్టర్స్ లేరు, ఆర్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు బీ అన్ ఇంజనీర్. అండ్ మన ఫ్యామిలీస్ అంతా అగ్రికల్చరల్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్. సో మన తాతయ్యలు, నానమ్మలు, అమ్మమ్మలతో మాట్లాడినప్పుడు నువ్వు ఏమైనా చదువుకోరా, నువ్వు వచ్చిన వెంటనే నువ్వు మన ల్యాండ్లన్నీ చూసుకోవాలి, సరిపోతుంది. సో యూ ఆర్ ఇన్ అ కాన్ఫ్లిక్టింగ్ విజన్ వెన్ యూ ఆర్ గ్రోయింగ్ అప్. A conflictive vision lo you are not, and again it's a very abstract vision, and these are very, very important because when you talk to students, these are things that you need to relay. Yeah. You should not wait to talk about all of this when somebody finishes their college yeah. and getting into their own business or joining any multinational company. ఇవన్నీ మొదటి నుంచి మన స్టూడెంట్స్కి హై స్కూల్కి వచ్చేటప్పటికి ఈ స్టోరీ టెల్లింగ్ అన్నది చెప్పుకోవాలి రావాలి.
అంటే maybe you should open up different scenarios to them. Yeah.
Exactly. ఇవన్నీ చెప్పేటప్పటికి అది అగైన్ ఇట్స్ అన్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఆస్పెక్ట్ ఆఫ్ స్టోరీ టెల్లింగ్. అండ్ లాట్ ఆఫ్ గుడ్ మేనేజర్స్, దే మైట్ బీ గుడ్ ఇన్ దేర్ వర్క్, but a good leader is somebody who is able to story tell.
It's not necessary that every manager or every good manager also becomes a good leader kada.
Exactly. And a good manager and leader మనం ఏమనుకుంటాం, ఏ కంపెనీల్లోనూ అట్లా కాదు. అ గుడ్ మేనేజర్ కుడ్ బి అ మదర్, అ గుడ్ లీడర్ కుడ్ బి అ ఫాదర్ ఆర్ యువర్ గ్రాండ్ ఫాదర్. మనకు ఆ 8, 9, 10 yearsలో చిన్నపిల్ల నుంచి టీనేజర్స్ అదే ఫార్మేటివ్ ఇయర్స్లో మనం గ్రూమ్ చేస్తే దే విల్ బీ ఏబుల్ టు బెటర్ వెన్ దే కమ్ టు మిడిల్ స్కూల్, హై స్కూల్ అండ్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ ఆర్ వాట్ ఎవర్ డిగ్రీ కాలేజెస్కి వెళ్ళేటప్పటికి దే ఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు స్ట్రక్చర్ దేర్ విజన్. And this will be very, very helpful when they go into a business school or join their own business or join a multinational company.
So basically it is about giving them different perspectives.
Exactly.
For them to choose what aligns with them.
Yeah. And it should not be forceful, amma.
Correct.
ఏమవుతుందంటే ఆర్టిఫిషియల్గా చాలామంది చెప్తారు. అది చెప్పేటప్పటికి ఏమవుతుందంటే టుడేస్ జనరేషన్ దే సీ త్రూ. మా జనరేషన్, మా తాతయ్య ఏం చెప్తే మేము వాళ్ళు బ్లైండ్గా ఫాలో అయిపోయేవాళ్ళం. మా ఫాదర్ ఏది చెప్తే అది ఫాలో అయిపోయేవాళ్ళం. టుడేస్ చిల్డ్రన్ యూ కెనాట్ ఫోర్స్ దిస్. సో వాట్ ఎవర్ పర్స్పెక్టివ్, అగైన్ యువర్ వర్డ్ దట్ యూ యూస్డ్, ద చాయిసెస్ వర్డ్స్ దట్ యూ హవ్ యూస్డ్ as perspective should be something which is real.
Correct. As simple as, in fact, మీరు రిషిని చూస్తున్నారు.
Exactly.
And as much as I have been that caring mother or whatever it is, I think the only thing that I did was to open up different perspectives for him. In fact, I've done a series with Rishi, and people have seen, his thought process. Now, people ask me, how is he thinking differently? I mean, why is he, or how is it? How are you able to figure that out with Rishi? I didn't do anything. So Mirannattu, maybe I just did not close anything for him. I just kept everything open. So Mirannat, in every aspect, if we are able to do that, just be real and just put that straight out there.
Exactly. And it was just coincidental. I was thinking about Rishi when you talked about Rishi. Nena, again, thank you for sharing those. And I really enjoyed Rishi in Tappad Nin Chusan. But now he's a 6+ footer. And how he has changed his thought process in the last several years is remarkable. And Rishi is one example.
Yeah.
There are many Rishis in every family.
Yes.
Right? And there would be successful rishis, and there would be rishis who could be groomed towards that so-called to be successful. And this is the importance of parents. Yeah. Parents have to spend time not to buy gadgets. iPad కొనిచ్చేసాం మన డ్యూటీ అయిపోయింది, ఆర్ ఐఫోన్ కొనేసాం డ్యూటీ అయిపోయిందని కాదు.
లేదా డిఫరెంట్ క్లాసెస్లో వేసేసాం వెళ్ళొచ్చేస్తున్నారు,
మేము ₹1,00,000 ఫీజు కడుతున్నాం, అది కాదు. If you're able to spend time with your children, if you're able to give that so-called perspective of what one can achieve, and realism, again, something that is coming from the heart, then it catches the attention as teenagers, and you would have given them the perspective of taking the right choices when they come to a degree. Again, coming back, as I said, I was very fortunate. There were certain key instances, key messages that were given to me in my first few days at Nestle. And this has really helped me. One, being an entrepreneur in that chipnut. You need to be an entrepreneur, whether you're working in a State Bank of India, government office, మనకు ఒకసారి జాయిన్ అయ్యాం, మా 60 ఏళ్ళ వరకు ఎవడు కదిపేది ఉండదు అని అంటే ఎక్కడేస్తున్న ఇది అక్కడే ఉంటుంది అంటారు కదా. సో గ్రోత్ ఉండదు. So if you are an entrepreneur, State Bank nunchi, as if somebody has joined as a clerk, how could that person become the chairman of State Bank of India? Again, this is that structured vision will bring that to the. And I've given that extreme example of State Bank of India because it's labeled such a way that government banks lo join aithe it's secured and is. Otherwise, you join in a multinational company, you need to act as an entrepreneur. The entrepreneurship will open up ideas in terms of what you could do, and not only for the betterment of the company, but most importantly, the company grows when you grow. And this is something which I always talk in leadership opportunities. And I tell people that the first thing that you need to do is to look at that, again, that perspective of how I would like to grow towards that so-called structured vision, such a way that I will be able to
take the company
towards that. So this is a very, very important aspect. So one is being an entrepreneur. Yeah, entrepreneur అనేటప్పటికీ, whether the entrepreneur could be a student, entrepreneur could be a clerk who has just joined State Bank of India, an entrepreneur could be you, Pinky, because you have started this. Entrepreneur could be somebody like me who has joined a multinational company.
Professional who's come there.
Could be a housewife. Could be a housewife. Or an entrepreneur could be, today if I look at Hyderabad, నేను 2020 వచ్చే సారిక మ్యారేజ్ ప్రిపరేషన్స్ కోసం, ఆ 2020కి ఇప్పటికి హైదరాబాద్ has vastly changed.
Yes.
And you feel proud getting down at Rajiv Gandhi Airport and driving towards high-tech city. It feels that you're in Singapore, right? And that means that the present government has that vision and the entrepreneurship to,
which they have
benchmark,
structured and
exactly,
actually,
benchmarked against either Switzerland or Chicago or whatever, and they are trying to bring those in. You can shoot potholes everywhere. Shooting potholes and చేసి ఇది ఈ రోడ్ బాగోలేదు, అది సరిగ్గా లేదు అనేది ప్రతి ఒక్కళ్ళు చెప్తారు. Taking those good aspects, and this is where the second anecdote which was very, very important for me, is seeing red behind the greens.
Wow.
So seeing red behind the greens ante ఇవాళ మనం if I was a businessman, I opened a restaurant, right? And I have say a table cover of 20 tables times 4, which means that I can accommodate 80 guests at any point of time. And if the cover charge per guest is around 100, which means that by the end of the day నేను 8,000 సంపాదిస్తే దాంట్లో ఒక 40% నాకు ప్రాఫిట్ వస్తుంది అని, రైట్? సో మనం అందరం అలాగే కదా చేస్తాం. మనం అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ ఇది ఒక రెస్టారెంట్ పెడితే ఇలా చేద్దాం,
లెక్కలు ఇంత చేస్తే ఇంత అయిపోతుంది.
ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ. బట్ టు సీ దట్ నాకు 6,000 వచ్చింది అంటే వన్ వుడ్ బి సాటిస్ఫైడ్. పర్లేదు, నేను 1 వీక్లోనే నాకు 6,000 రోజుకి వస్తున్నది అంటే అది కాదు. వాట్ పీపుల్ హ్యావ్ టు డూ, ద రైట్ ఎంటర్ప్రినర్షిప్ ఈజ్ సీయింగ్ దీన్ని, నాకు చెప్పా కదా, సీయింగ్ రెడ్స్ బిహైండ్ ద గ్రీన్స్. నాకు బ్యాలెన్స్ 2,000 ఎందుకు పోయింది? నా అడ్వర్టైజింగ్ క్యాంపెయిన్ బాగోలేదా? ఆర్ మై కుక్ సరైన పెలెట్ ఇవ్వలేదా? నా వెయిటర్స్ సరిగ్గా సర్వ్ చేయలేదా? డిడ్ ఐ నాట్ గివ్ ది రైట్ కన్జ్యూమర్ కస్టమర్ సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్, ambience ఇవన్నీ. సో ఇఫ్ సంబడి కెన్ గెట్ ఇన్ టు దిస్ సో కాల్డ్ ప్రాబ్లమ్ సాల్వింగ్ ఫర్ ఎవ్రీ డే, ఏదో నెలకేసి అయ్యాక 8,000 times 30 days కాకుండా every day before on a day-to-day basis,
so that after 1 week itself you'll have a perspective again.
Exactly, Amma. So this is something which is very, very important.
I really like the way you put it, look at the reds which are actually hiding behind your greens.
Exactly.
Maybe this is something which I have to take it personally also. ఎందుకంటే ఒకటి వచ్చింది, అంటే 6,000 వచ్చింది, పర్లేదులే, అంటే కొత్త బిజినెస్ కదా, సో లెట్ స్టార్ట్ స్లో అనుకుంటాం. కానీ ఆ 2,000 ఎందుకు రాలేదనేది చూడగలిగితే.
ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ. సో సీయింగ్ దిస్ ఇస్ టు మీ ద సెకండ్ మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఆస్పెక్ట్. అండ్ ద రీజన్ వై ఐఎమ్ రీఇటరేటింగ్ దిస్ ఇస్ వెన్ ఐ సీ యంగ్స్టర్స్ ఇన్ హైదరాబాద్, ఇన్ తెలంగాణ, ఆర్ ఇన్ Andhra Pradesh, or in wider India, which I have not been in the last several years. After a gap of many years, I'm coming to India. So I only had the opportunity to visit Hyderabad, Burra and Vizag. Families unnai kabatti elli chodtaniki avindi. I was lucky and mana families lo andarni youngsters ni kalatam ayindi. So most important thing for the present day youngsters who are into startups and so on and so forth, this mindset of entrepreneurship, the mindset of seeing reds behind the greens will help them to be successful. Third is an aspect where మనం అంత కాన్సన్ట్రేట్ చేయమమ్మా. లీడర్షిప్ బిహేవియర్ అని వచ్చేటప్పటికి స్టోరీ టెల్లింగ్ ఈజ్ అ వెరీ, వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్ థింగ్. ఏమవుతుందంటే ప్రెషర్ పాయింట్స్ వస్తాయి. ఇది ఎందుకు ప్రెషర్ పాయింట్స్ అని వస్తాయంటే నేను చెప్తాను. దిస్ ఈజ్ మోర్ లీనింగ్ టువర్డ్స్ స్టూడెంట్స్, లీనింగ్ టువర్డ్స్ just employee starters, less towards business people who have started. ఒక ఏజ్, ఒక సర్టన్ పీరియడ్ తర్వాత వాళ్ళు దే గెట్ ఇన్ టు ది సో కాల్డ్ ప్రెషర్ పాయింట్. బట్ ద ప్రెషర్ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ స్టూడెంట్స్ అండ్ ద ప్రెషర్ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ just joining companies and getting exposed, whether you work in Deloitte or you work in EY or you work in McKinsey or you work in HSBC banks or all these multinationals or at school and so on and so forth, ఏమవుతుందంటే the pressure points happen periodically. So periodic pressure points ఏంటంటే you are given a task, you would have done the task to the best of your way, the expectations are much high and you are facing the organization, the leaders, and you are supposed to explain what happened. If there is a good story to tell, which there is a success, you've 98 out of 100 marks vaste, it's an easy storytelling, right? Or you have been selected to go into med school, it's an easy storytelling. But just imagine if you have got 70 and you are you're not hitting the best schools, you are prone towards, I would say the government colleges are bad, but not aspired towards, or you are parents putting the dolly in terms of putting the capitation fee and so our storytelling lo children are in the pressure point. then it's a difficult story to tell. So this is grooming the storytelling, especially on areas where you have failed. And again, I draw from students to youngsters who are into jobs. After a gestation period of whatever number of months and years, they're facing the leadership. If you have a bad story to tell, your your left brain thinks something and your right brain thinks something.
Something else.
So you would have prepared over the night, saying that things did not happen as per plan. అక్కడ లీడర్షిప్ రూమ్కి వెళ్ళేటప్పటికి you fumble. And the first impression is an everlasting impression.
So basically what I understand of what you're saying is how the perspective that you're holding on your own situation, on your own experiences, on your own resources, to everything as to what are you doing. And ఇప్పుడు లైఫ్ అందరిది ఒక రకంగా ఉండదు.
Exactly.
Different situations.
Exactly.
ఇప్పుడు వాళ్ళకి బాగుంది, నాకు బాగాలేదు, fine.
Exactly.
But from wherever I am starting, how am I looking at it and how can I take it better? So even if I know that there is maybe a 10-pointer if I'm just in 7-pointer here, or this person is coming from a better college and I am not coming from so and so college, or this person has a better family orientation than maybe what I am. So మీరు అనేది ఏంటి అంటే when both of us land in a room for an interview or for a job prospect, if I'm already seeing myself as a failure and if I cannot hold my own story true to myself and everything, I will always be looking at myself lesser than the other person. So ఆ లీడర్ లేకపోతే ఆ ఇంటర్వ్యూవర్ నన్ను నెగేట్ చేయక్కలేదు.
Exactly.
నన్ను నేను నెగేట్ చేసేసుకున్నట్టే.
Exactly.
That's
exactly. So the preparation is very, very important. A lot of people, including myself, I have failed in my early start days. ఎందుకంటే you go with certain confidence. నేను ఇన్నేళ్ళ నుంచి పని చేస్తున్నాను, నాకు తెలుసు కదా, I was not able to deliver a certain customer satisfaction. I was not able to deliver a certain product because we are in a food and beverage organization, or there is a Walmart has given a complaint, a consumer has given a complaint, a product you have jacked up the price because commodity prices are going up. Whatever be the situation, so మనం ఏంటంటే ఒక సెల్ఫ్ కాన్ఫిడెన్స్తో వెళ్ళిపోతాం, ఒక లైన్ ఆఫ్ థింకింగ్తో వెళ్ళిపోతాం. అందుకోసం లెఫ్ట్ బ్రెయిన్ రైట్ బ్రెయిన్ అంటున్నా. యూ గో దేర్ అండ్ దెన్ దిస్ జెంటిల్మెన్ హూ ఇస్ వన్ ఆఫ్ ది లీడర్ would have a different perspective. Again, your perspective is something is very, very important. You need to be able to relate your story, explain the situation why you have failed, the remedial measures that you have taken, and if there is a perspective that you have not looked into, don't underplay that. Accept and say, it's a very good point, I will go back and look.
So making it relevant.
Exactly.
Making it relevant to the situation, to the people that you're meeting.
Exactly.
అలాగే ఓవర్ టెల్లింగ్ ఆఫ్ అ స్టోరీ అయినా కూడా
ఇట్స్ డేంజరస్.
Yes.
అందుకోసమే ఏమవుతుందంటే ఐ ఆల్వేస్ రిలేట్ దిస్ లెఫ్ట్ బ్రెయిన్. నేను లండన్ బిజినెస్ స్కూల్ ఎవ్రీ టైమ్ వెన్ ఐ గో అండ్ టాక్ టు యంగ్ లీడర్స్, ఐ ఆల్వేస్ సే దట్ నా ఫెయిల్యూర్ వాస్ at my formative years. I used to think something, the questions were different, my right brain was saying something and I'm blabbering something. There is no connectivity. Deeniki left is you would have prepared.
So can I connect this to whatever that you opened up, saying that ఒక విజన్ ఉంది అంటే నేను ఆ రూమ్ లోకి వెళ్తున్నప్పుడు ఆ జాబ్ నేను తెచ్చుకోవాలి లేదా ఆ కాంట్రాక్ట్ నేను తెచ్చుకోవాలి.
Exactly.
బట్ లోపలికి వెళ్ళి when the situation is not according to my expectation or my vision, because I've not been able to structure my thought process,
Exactly.
I fumble.
We fumble. And the difficult situation, this is a very good point, Pinky. We all have, irrespective whatever experience you would have had, even today for me, preparation is necessary. 2, stepping back and listening and forming an answer back is a very, very important aspect that a lot of people underestimate.
So that can happen only when I అండర్స్టాండ్ మై అవుట్కమ్ క్లియర్లీ.
Correct.
సో నేను లోపలికి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు ఇఫ్ ఐ అండర్స్టాండ్ దట్ ఐమ్ గోయింగ్ దేర్ టు హ్యావ్ అ కాన్వర్సేషన్, then maybe I'll be open to listen first.
Yeah.
But if I'm going there to impress,
Yeah.
I'll only be trying to bring up as many tricks out of my bag to say that,
Yeah. And this will be short-lived.
Yeah.
Because
You're not
the panel,
connected.
you're not connected. And the panel who is sitting in front of you are smart enough to understand in a jiffy that, there's a dichotomy between what they have asked and what you're answering.
So basically it boils down to saying that, listen to listen,
Yes.
but don't listen to answer.
Yeah. You take your pause, take a deep breath, and if you don't know, admit that you don't know or you haven't been prepared and you need time. Explain what you have done so that you're creating a kind of a confidence, an atmosphere. Then when you walk out, people think that, yeah, this person is the right person, even if you have failed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very, very important.
Keeping it authentic.
Keeping it authentic. The third thing, Pinky, so I've talked about entrepreneurship, I've talked about storytelling, I've talked about seeing reds behind the greens.
Yeah.
And you remember we were talking about, or you mentioned, not every manager is successful, and there's a difference between a manager and a leader. And the first day when I joined this company, Amma, as I said, I've been very, very fortunate. My peer group, management school nunchi vachina vallu, not that I have wearing an edge over others, but I'm just sheer lucky that I was in the hands of great leaders who molded me, and today if I've been successful, it's because of them. The first thing, the leader who I joined and I was getting groomed, he said, you need to be as dedicated and you need to work for the organization. So a task, whether again you are a student or you are an entrepreneur, a startup, you opened a restaurant, or whatever be different walks of life, you need to be 100% dedicated to the task or the job that you've been given. You don't look at anything else.
Yeah.
When you start doing that, outcome and results automatically come.
Yeah.
Then, as I said, the second aspect, look the reds behind the greens. He was telling me that every day, spend half an hour, and you don't need to have a PhD.
Yeah.
You just need to take a pen and pencil, a paper and pen, to say, "Ivali ye tasklu chesam. What are these tasks you think that could have been done better?"
Yeah.
It might be a 2-minute reflection or a 5-minute jotting it down. This was the second aspect I chepped.
Yeah.
And I still do that. The third aspect what I cheppindi entante, as long as you are able to be a dedicated employee, a dedicated person, you are able to spend a couple of minutes to ponder what you have done. People will see that you are a very dedicated person and so on. People see through. A manager assigns tasks.
Yeah.
They'll say, okay, you do this, you do this, you do this. As long as you have accomplished, whether you have been successful or not, manager says, this person has done the task.
Yeah.
A leader sees through.
Yeah.
And he was telling me that my job was to perform to the tasks that were being assigned, and his job as a leader is to do the storytelling, explaining the rationale of what is right and what is wrong, and to groom me and mentor me to become a leader in the future.
Yeah.
And I've been practicing this in the
So
last...
basically, helping you manage your tasks and, kind of accomplish them.
Yes.
Also teaching you the long term.
Exactly. Exactly. So, this was the third or the fourth thing that he taught me. And this I try and practice um, every day. And again, nu cheppinattu, the difference between a manager and a leader is a leader who would be relentlessly seeing through, helping you, story tell what you have done well and what are the areas of improvement, such a way that he or she makes you a successful person. That, and I must, and again, as I said, I'm really proud that through these people I have been successful. And the first leader who groomed me stayed in the same position right through. And it's not only me. There are several of his disciples or his people who worked under him have gone up in life whilst he stayed at the same position. Today, we, all of us, are indebted to this gentleman. And we are so proud that
That's the spirit of a true leader.
That's the
because
truth, exactly.
A true leader is somebody who can create more leaders.
Exactly.
Who can still fuel them ahead.
Exactly.
But a manager
Yes.
might not want somebody else to be on him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these are, they might be sound very simple,
Yeah.
but I think these are the simple things that we were taught.
Those are the unshakable grounding, I think, that you've
Exactly.
gotten.
Exactly. And this is what I try and relate to when I go to a school or when I go to an organization. And as I mentioned to you, soon after my retirement, early next year, I've been appointed as the Gratham ambassador for representing Sheffield
University. In fact, what fascinated me and the reason why I requested that I want you to be on this talk, because you're leaving tomorrow morning, is, I have seen you doing all these things and I know you as a person. అయిపోయిన తర్వాత రిటైర్ అయిపోయాను పింకీ, and I love the view from your house, where you've actually settled and everything. You can always choose to kind of, relax and everything. But the way you stepped up, saying that the other day when you were sharing, when you showed me your letter and everything, when you were sharing that now you want to help those students who are at the threshold, to start off this journey, maybe which you're at the other end of the spectrum now.
Yeah.
And, when you want to guide these students, the first thing which I would want to you to tell us is, again, we're talking about students who are stepping out of the country also. And today, with the global perspective, the world, maybe meer vellinappudu it was a huge gap. But today, everything, it's just like a global village. Aina kuda, there are so many things that a person needs to understand. Again, నేను అబ్రాడ్ వెళ్ళి చదువుకుంటున్నాను అనేది ఒక అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ విజన్ అవ్వచ్చు. But how would it help a student to have a structured vision? And what is the structure that a student, somebody who's wanting to step ahead, not just a student, maybe a professional who's now wanting to immigrate somewhere or, go to another place. What do you think are the first things that they have to actually look for?
So I will answer to the question, Pinky. One of the things, as you pointed out, one could say, okay, 35 ఏళ్ళు పనిచేసాం, now it's time to relax. My perspective is that if you are a good leader, you also have a responsibility to pass your experience to and groom youngsters. Right? And this is more philanthropic. ఏదో డబ్బులు చేసుకుందాం అని కాదు. And you saw my letter, the appointment, I don't get a penny out of it. And I would like to do 1/3 of my time to dedicate to groom youngsters so that you are able to see youngsters grow. Especially now, I must say that, Mayo Indian time ki, put time ki, we were probably the second Indian family in the canton that we live in Switzerland, the canton of the commune of Montreux. There was another Indian family. Now there are probably so many.
Aroja, I remember when we were walking by that riverside also, so many Indians, in fact, I think me company vallu, so many people, you just bumping into each other.
So మేము వెళ్ళినప్పుడు I was the second. నేను ఎందుకు రిలేట్ చేస్తున్నానంటే, the second question that you asked, today the competition is cutthroat. Especially మన ఇండియన్స్లో ఎంతోమంది బాగా చదువుకుంటున్నారు, పైకి వస్తున్నారు, ఫ్యామిలీస్ ఇన్ ఎవ్రీ హౌస్ హోల్డ్ దేర్ ఇస్ అట్లీస్ట్ 1 or 2 members of the family who are living abroad. Now, living abroad versus being successful
Yeah.
is 2 different dimensions.
Absolutely. I so like, how you put it across. Yes.
Yeah. సో ఏదో మనం డబ్బులు సంపాదించాం, ఇక్కడ కోటి రూపాయలు పెట్టి ఫ్లాట్ కొనుక్కున్నాం ఈజ్ నాట్ బీయింగ్ సక్సెస్ఫుల్. What is being successful is that you have accomplished the structured vision that you have put together.
Yes.
Yeah, and that structured vision is very, very important. People who are moving out, they have to somehow make sure one is to integrate into the society that they are going in. Sometimes I feel that we Indians, manaki upbringing wala, we take a lot of shortcuts and so on and so forth. Indian context lo probably there are certain things that you have to, but once you go abroad, shortcuts may give you temporary gains, but it damages you in the long term. So this is something which is very, very important. Again, that the perspective of what you are, your true self, ivanni. There is a lot of observation that the Western societies look at Indians, and there are they relate to people who they see are prospective leaders who could become, or they also see a lot of people who are go-getters and so on and so forth. The reason why I'm again narrating this is to the question that you asked, because going abroad, everybody can go.
Does, yeah.
Everybody does, everybody can go. Again, to become successful is something which one has to work towards. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is that the hunger, again as part of that vision, to have that so-called goalposts saying that I have to do this, accomplish, look back of what possible failures were there, and then reconstruct your next step is the second part, that something which needs to be done. The third part is, fortunately in the last, I would say 5-10 years, the perspective of India has changed.
Correct.
Okay, the perspective of India between 2000 and I would say 2015, of the first initial 15 years, people who have gone before 2000, Malantallu, is a different perspective.
Correct.
But 2000 to 2015, the big boom came through IT and so on and so forth. 2015 nunchi, the Western world is looking at India as a startup, entrepreneurship, country that they can rely on. Yeah, and I'm narrating this for the young businessmen who are starting their startups now. This is very, very important, that they have to somehow create an identity for themselves, create an identity that people outside of India are able to look upon, and market it such a way that it's an ethical organization. Because you also hear a lot of conflicting issues, especially in the service sector, in the United States, in Europe, negative connotations of India, right? You see a dime a dozen. Avanni lekunda, if people are able to create that authentic business proposals, I think the opportunities are vast. So I think this is something which is very, very important. Students, the other question that you said, majority of the students who are finishing their undergrads, for students where parents are able to afford, who are going to undergrads abroad, again this is the duty of the parent and the family to groom the child who is going abroad in terms of the expectations. You need somehow that is lagging.
అప్పటికే ఒక పర్స్పెక్టివ్ అనేది క్లారిటీ లేకపోతే
Correct.
ప్రాబ్లం అవుతుంది.
And majority of the cases, there's only a minority of the cases parents are taking, today's parents, it might sound bitter, My apologies again. It's not that, both parents should not work. Both parents should work. ఈ కాలంలో మన పేరెంట్స్ లాగా మదర్ ఇంట్లో కూర్చొని ఫాదర్ ఒక్కళ్ళే పని చేయటం కానే కాదు. సో మదర్ హ్యాస్ టు వర్క్, బట్ స్పెండింగ్ టైం, ఇందాక ఒక అనెక్డోట్ చెప్పా, పిల్లాడు ఇంటికి వచ్చేటప్పటికి ఆడ అడగకుండా ఆడికేవో ఐప్యాడ్ కొనేసి ఇచ్చేసి, అది కాకుండా ఇఫ్ దే ఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు స్పెండ్ టైమ్ టు గ్రూమ్ ది చైల్డ్ వెన్ హీ ఆర్ షీ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు అన్ అండర్ గ్రాడ్యుయేట్ కోర్స్, నువ్వేం అవుదాం అనుకుంటున్నావు, అయ్యాక నువ్వు వాట్ ఈస్ యువర్ పర్స్పెక్టివ్, వాట్ ఈస్ యువర్ ఫ్యూచర్, ఆ ఫ్యూచర్కి నువ్వు ఏమేమి పని చేయాలి, ఎలా చదువుకోవాలి, ఏమేమి వర్క్ చేయాలి. బికాస్ టుడే ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఈజ్ సో వాస్ట్.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere, and it's an overload of information.
Exactly.
For kids also.
Exactly.
మీరు అన్నట్టు పిల్లోడు ఇంటికి వచ్చిన వెంటనే మీరు ఉండలేకపోవచ్చు. See, as a mother, if I say also, but the time that you're spending with the child, it could be at any point.
Exactly.
Maybe don't even meet your child the whole week, but even the weekend if you're meeting your child.
Exactly.
How are you giving them that perspective, which will guide them even during the time that you're not with them?
Exactly.
I think our essence అనేది ఒకటి అర్థమైతే, then it will work.
This is a very, very important aspect that we as parents have to spend time to invest. నువ్వు చెప్పినట్టు whatever, whether it's every day or once a week or once a month, వాళ్ళకి పర్స్పెక్టివ్ ఇచ్చి వాళ్ళని పంపించేటప్పుడు ఇవన్నీ చేస్తే you are part of their journey towards a successful individual. This is something which is very, very important. Whether that he or she is going to settle abroad or coming back and do a job or take over your business, this is very, very important.
Again, as self, what are we giving them?
Exactly.
Exactly.
So this is very, very important, and I hope young parents should start doing that at a 8th class వచ్చే వరకు వెయిట్ చేయకుండా, at a certain age where a child is able to understand.
మీరు అన్నట్టు ఇందాక, when you 38 years ago, when you started from day one, you were lucky and fortunate enough to have good leaders అన్నప్పుడు, you did not wait, or the journey wouldn't wait for you to be 5 years old in the company and then get a good leader.
Correct.
So 8th class వచ్చిన తర్వాత నేను పిల్లోని చూసుకుంటాను, 9th class వచ్చిన తర్వాత చూసుకుంటాను కాదు. It's like, day one. Exactly. It could be a small thing.
Yes.
How I mean that's how I would look at.
Right.
Because there's no timeline, right? Everybody's
Exactly.
timelines are so different.
Exactly.
But as a grounding,
Exactly.
as a complete nurturing environment, what are you doing from day one that a child can actually start thinking?
Yeah. And this is again probably I'm diversing the conversation. This is the difference between our Indian education. Probably I stand to get corrected if things have changed. But again, I can only relate to నేను చదువుకున్న రోజుల్లో.
Things have changed.
I'm sure.
Definitely
they've changed.
Yes.
The perspective of the Western education youngstersలో, చిన్నప్పుడు చదువుకుంటున్నప్పుడు పిల్లల్ని ఓల్డ్ ఏజ్ హోమ్కి తీసుకెళ్తారు. వాళ్ళు కంపల్సరీగా చేయాలి. స్పోర్ట్స్ is part of their curriculum. Compulsory skiing cheyalante.
Which is community service.
Community
and they're given credits with, for all of those things.
Exactly.
So they're doing.
Adoti. Following certain rules. Zebra crossing. ఇవన్నీ చిన్నప్పటి నుంచి నేర్పిస్తారు. కార్పెంటరీ, ఎలక్ట్రికల్ వర్క్. మనకి ఇండియాలో ఏదైనా ఫ్యూజ్ పోయిందంటే బల్బ్ మార్చడం కూడా రాదు. అదే వెస్టర్న్ ఏజ్లో స్టూడెంట్స్కి అంతా నేర్పిస్తారు. సో దే ఆర్ సెల్ఫ్ సఫిషియంట్. వాళ్ళు దే ఆర్ మైగ్రేటింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ ప్లేస్ టు A to place B.
They are prepared to live. ఇది
I know probably things have changed in India. That's why I said I stand to get corrected. బట్ మా కాలంలో అది లేదు. మనం ఎందుకు చెయ్యాలి? డ్రైవర్ ఉంటే డ్రైవర్ తలుపు తెరవాలి. డ్రైవర్ కింద చూసేవారు కానీ ఒక మనిషి కింద చూసేవారు. సో ఇవన్నీ ఐ హోప్ థింగ్స్ హ్యావ్ చేంజ్. ఐ స్టార్టెడ్ టు సీ చేంజ్ హియర్. బట్ ఆ స్టూడెంట్స్ని కల్టివేట్ చేసే ఇది కూడా ఇట్స్ ద రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ ఆఫ్ ది పేరెంట్స్ అండ్ గ్రాండ్ పేరెంట్స్ అండ్ సో ఆన్ అండ్ సో ఫోర్. ఇది చేస్తే బియాండ్ ది ఎడ్యుకేషనల్ ఆస్పెక్ట్స్ మనం మాట్లాడింది, you will be able to groom this also leader to be very, very successful, because she or he is coming back
Yeah.
and taking over
Whatever that you've started.
what you have started.
Yeah.
They will take the business to greater heights.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So this, I think, is also very, very important that I think we need to pay attention.
So, as you said, in a year, even if you're retiring, not just for the students, but I'm sure, there's so many entrepreneurs here, maybe Align also. Maybe you could be a part of us where you could start mentoring you could start coaching a lot of leaders and everything. So I would definitely look forward to that. And thank you so much for taking time for this. And it's a privilege to have you here, Uncle.
Thank you, Pinky, and for you, anytime.
Thank you.
And as I said, my new chapter in life, a third, will start with mentoring and teaching young students. And if I can be of any help to the establishments here, on a టీ హబ్ గురించి మాట్లాడుకున్నాం
Yes.
ఇవన్నీ,
Yes.
I would love to do that.
In fact, మీకు గుర్తుంటే నేను అలైన్ ఇంకా ఇలా పెట్టక ముందు when I was there in Switzerland, I had told you that I would want to do an intercultural, kind of a program
Yes.
where we take them away for a takeaway program or something. So I'm still having that on my wish list. So I might definitely come back knocking, saying that Uncle, we're coming to stay here now.
Certainly.
We're going to come and do a
That's-
program here.
Absolutely. You have a second home.
Yeah.
Besides your own place in Hyderabad, your second home is
There.
Montreux.
Yeah.
And we look forward to working together. If I can be of any help, I'm
Yes.
more than happy.
Thank you, Uncle. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Pinky, and it's a privilege, as I said, to share my thoughts and my experience. And I hope to see more Indian flags being successful, not only in India but also in the Western world.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.